first tablet. The words of the Lord Enki, firstborn son of Anu, who reigns on Nibiru. With heavy spirit I utter laments, laments that are bitter fill my heart. How smitten is the land, its people delivered to the evil wind, its stables abandoned, its sheepfolds emptied. How smitten are the cities, their people piled up as dead corpses, afflicted by the evil wind. How smitten are the fields, their vegetation withered, touched by the evil wind. How smitten are the rivers, nothing swims any more, pure sparkling waters turned into poison. Of its black-headed people, Sumer is emptied, gone is all life. Of its cattle and sheep Sumer is emptied, silent is the hum of churning milk. In its glorious cities, only the wind howls, death is the only smell. The temples whose heads to heaven arose by their gods have been abandoned. Of lordship and kingship command there is none, scepter and tiara are gone. On the banks of the two great rivers, once lush and life-giving, only weeds grow. No one treads the highways, no one seeks out the roads. Flourishing Sumer is like an abandoned desert. How smitten is the land, home of gods and men. On that land a calamity fell, one unknown to man. A calamity that mankind had never before seen, one that could not be withstood. On all the lands, from west to east, a disruptive hand of terror was placed. The gods, in their cities, were helpless as men. An evil wind, a storm born in a distant plain, a great calamity wrought in its path. A death-dealing wind born in the west its way to the east has made, its course set by fate. A storm devouring as the deluge, by wind and not by water a destroyer, by poisoned air, not idle waves, overwhelming. By fate, not destiny, was it engendered. The great gods, in their council, the great calamity had caused. By Enlil in Harsag it was permitted, I alone for a halt was beseeching. Day and night to accept what the heavens decree I argued, to no avail. Ninurta, Enlil's warrior son, and Nergal, my very own son, poisoned weapons in the great plain then unleashed. That an evil wind shall follow the brilliance we knew not, they now cry in agony. That the death-dealing storm, born in the west, its course to the east shall make, who could foretell, the gods now bemoan. In their holy cities, the gods stood disbelieving as the evil wind toward Sumer made its way. One after another the gods fled their cities, their temples abandoned to the wind. In my city, Eridu, as the poisoned cloud approached, I could do nothing to stop it. Escaped to the open steppe, to the people I gave instructions. With Ninki, my spouse, the city I abandoned. In his city Nippur, place of the bond heaven-earth, Enlil could do nothing to stop it. The evil wind against Nippur was onrushing. In his celestial boat, Enlil and his spouse hurriedly took off. In Sumer's city of kingship, Nana to his father Enlil for help cried. In the place of the temple, that to heaven in 7 steps rises, Nana the hand of fate refused to heed. My father who begot me, great God who to her had granted kingship, turn the evil wind away, Nana pleaded. Great God who decrees the fates, let her and its people be spared, your praises continue, Nana appealed. Enlil answered his son Nana, noble son, your wondrous kingship was granted, eternal reign it was not granted. Take hold of your spouse Ninjil, flee the city, even I who decree fates, its destiny I cannot bend. Thus did Enlil my brother speak, alas, alas, not her destiny it was. A calamity none greater since the deluge gods and earthlings has befallen. Alas, not a destiny it was. The great deluge was destined to happen. The great calamity of the death-dealing storm was not. By the breach of a vow, by a council decision it was caused. By weapons of terror was it created. By a decision, not destiny, were the poisoned weapons unleashed. By deliberation was the lot cast. Against Marduk, my firstborn, did the two sons destruction direct. Vengeance was in their hearts. Ascendancy is not Marduk's to grasp. Enlil's firstborn shouted, with weapons I shall oppose him, Nin-Urter said. Of people he raised an army, Bibelia's earth's navel to declare. Nergal, Marduk's brother, so shouted. In the council of the great gods, words of venom were spread. Day and night I raised my opposing voice. Peace I counselled, deploring haste. For the second time the people have raised his heavenly image. Why does opposing continue? I asked him pleading. Have all the instruments been checked? Did not the era of Marduk in the heavens arrive? I once more inquired. For a time in the cold is Nibiru engulfed, for part of its circuit by the sun strongly is it heated. A thick atmosphere Nibiru envelops, by volcanic eruptions constantly federal. All manner of life this atmosphere sustains. Without it there will be only perishing. In the cold period the inner heat of Nibiru keeps about the planet, like a warm coat that is constantly renewed. In the hot period it shields Nibiru from the sun's scorching rays. In its midst, rains it holds and releases, to lakes and streams giving rise. Lush vegetation our atmosphere feeds and protects, all manner of life in the waters, and on the land to sprout it caused. After aeons of time our own species sprouted, by our own essence and eternal seed to procreate. As our numbers grew, to many regions of Nibiru our ancestors spread. Some tilled the land, some four-legged creatures shepherded. Some lived on the mountains, some in the valleys their home made. Rivalries occurred, encroachments happened, clashes occurred, sticks became weapons. Clans gathered into tribes, then two great nations each other faced. The nation of the north against the nation of the south took up arms. What was held by hand to thrusting missiles was turned. Weapons of thunder and brilliance increased the terror. A war, long and fierce, engulfed the planet. Brother amassed against brother. There was death and destruction both north and south. For many circuits desolation reigned in the land. All life was diminished. Then a truce was declared. Then peacemaking was conducted. Let the nations be united, the emissaries said to one another. Let there be one throne on Nibiru, one king to reign over all. Let a leader from north or from south by lot be chosen, one king supreme to be. If he be from north, let south choose a female to be his spouse as equal queen to reign alongside. If by lot a south male be chosen, let the north's female be his spouse. Husband and wife let them be, as one flesh to become. Let their firstborn son be the successor. Let a unified dynasty thus be formed, unity on Nibiru forever to establish. In the midst of the ruins, peace was started. North and south by marriage were united. The royal throne into one flesh combined, an unbroken line of kingship established. The first king after peace was made. A warrior of the north he was, a mighty commander. By lots, true and fair, was he chosen. His decrees and unity were accepted. For his abode he built a splendid city, Agade. Unity meaning was its name. for his reign a royal title he was granted, and it was, the Celestial One was its meaning. With strong arm order in the lands he re-established, laws and regulations he decreed. Governors for each land he appointed, restoration and reclamation was their foremost task. Of him in the royal annals, the sit was recorded and the lands unified, peace on Nibiru he restored. He built a new city, the canals he repaired, food to the people he provided, there was abundance in the lands. For his spouse the south a maiden had chosen, for both love and warring she was noted. And Tu was her royal title, the leader who is an spouse, the given name cleverly did mean. She bore 3 sons and no daughters. The firstborn son was by her named and Ki, by a solid foundation was its meaning. Alone on the throne he was seated, a spouse to Jews was twice postponed. In his reign, concubines were brought into the palace, a son to him was not born. The dynasty thus begun was by the death of Enki disrupted, on the foundation no offspring followed. The middle son, though not the firstborn, the legal heir was pronounced. From his youth, one of 3 brothers, it by his mother was lovingly called. The one in the middle his name did mean. By the royal annals and .lb he is named in kingship celestial. By generations, the one who is in son the name signified. He followed his father in on Nibiru's throne. By count, he was the 3rd to reign. The daughter of his younger brother he chose to be his spouse. .lb she was called the Lady of Pounds. A son to an Ibinanib was born. The successor on the throne he was, the 4th by the count of kings. By the royal name and .shar.gal he wished himself to be known, as prince who is greatest of princes was the meaning. His spouse, a half-sister, Kai.shar.gal was equally named. Knowledge and understanding were his chief ambition, the ways of the heavens he assiduously studied. The great circuit of Nibiru he studied, its length of Shar-to-be he fixed.